everyone, my name is Ryan B. Hebert, and welcome to another episode of Series 7 Predictions. Today, I am featuring AchusslaVGC, otherwise known as Austin. Be sure to follow him at AchusslaVGC on Twitter. And Austin, is there anywhere else people can follow you?
I'm on Discord too, and then I have a YouTube channel, also AchusslaVGC. You can catch me on there. So just those couple places.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Perfect. I really do appreciate it.
I'm an old guy. I'm late 30s now, so I was around when Pokemon first came out. Been into it since Red and Blue version. I actually did the summer tours right when the games were first released, like before Yellow version. They had like mall tournaments I traveled around for locally in the Midwest. So I started there. Then kind of got out of it after Gen 2 and got back in around, I guess, when the 3DS games, like Gen 6. I started like really seriously playing VGC in 2017 with Sun and Moon. I played it on the online ladder in 2016, but they didn't really have the VGC format on there a lot of the time. So Ladder Warrior, kids and everything, so not really, I have a lot of free time to do a lot of in real life tournaments, but I try to do 1 or 2 regionals a year and then a couple locals here and there, just for fun. But yeah, and then just started making content, just some kind of a side project to do. And I also run a draft league, a multi-battle draft league. So that's kind of where it started, just having content for them, and just kind of grew from there. So
okay, yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah. Love to see that. Yeah. Haven't had anyone come on here and say that they are running a draft league. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of a best kept secret. I think there's a lot of like well-known VGC players that are in it. We're gonna start a Twitter soon, just to kind of advertise it a little bit more. I've been a little removed from the last 2 seasons. I just had a baby in July. My wife did.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, so a friend of mine's been running it for me, and then I'm just kind of jumping in here and there. But definitely a lot of fun.
What is your favorite Pokemon in the upcoming Series 7 meta, and why?
It's gotta be Tapu Lele. All my like serious competitive teams that I've gone to in real life tournaments with, except for 2019, I have featured Tapu Lele. You can just build around it so well. It's kind of a whole play style, not just a mon by itself. So I'm excited to try that again. I've already kind of started working on my first team, so I'm definitely going to include that.
For Series 5 and 6, we've had a lot of Pokemon that have set up at the top of the metagame for quite a while. What are 1 or 2 Pokemon in your mind do you think that are going to maybe see less usage in the new Series 7 metagame?
So we're getting some power creep, right, with all these legendaries that are going to be available. I think you'll see Dragapult take a little bit of a backseat just with all the fairies that are going to be hanging around. The speed's still good. Obviously, you can still dish out a lot of tech power, and with maybe there'll be some psychic spam teams it would be okay against. But you can just have Scarf Lele too. So I definitely think Dragapult, Togekiss for sure, which is kind of a disappointment since redirection's so strong in all these Dynamax formats, but with all these steel types are getting reintroduced, and with Coco around, I don't see Togekiss being too popular anymore. Mungus will probably kick up a little bit, and maybe even Clefairy you see more often.
Okay.
Yeah. And Urshifu, I'd say I don't know how that's going to fare. Just with all the fairies that are going to be around, I don't know if there'll be much need for it. It might still be around. I don't know. But I mean, obviously you'll still see it, but I think that's a little more challenged. And Indeedee obviously is getting its train replaced, so still usage for it just because it has Follow Me. You might see that over Togekiss too. But I think you have other uses for more offensive terrain user.
Couldn't agree with you more there. Gotta say, I just chatted with the Pokesports podcast in the previous episode, and they had a lot of feelings towards Amoonguss as a Pokemon and whether or not it's going to be used a lot more or a lot less. So I'm very interested to see what's going to be happening in Series 7. What are some upcoming team cores that maybe are kicking around in your team builder right now that you're finding that are pretty good?
Cores will be difficult to see what will work together well until we see kind of a meta shapes up. But a lot of the stuff that we saw in 2018, I think, are good things to pull from. Obviously, the Tapus are back, so you're going to see things built around terrain. Coco got a lot of interesting things in its physical move pool now that's going to be able to utilize. Like I think it's got close combat now and play rough. And with Dynamax, it can utilize so many things. So if it's going to start being physical, that could definitely be interesting. Obviously, I'm excited to have Lele back. But one thing I was thinking about was Feeny. Like in 2019, we used it to swagger things a lot in its terrain. So if I think you could Dynamax like a Tyranitar and then swagger it, I could see that being a thing again because it kind of almost replaces weakness policy then, and
Yeah.
then you can run a different item. So that's gonna be interesting. I definitely want to kind of just play around with that. Rising Voltage, obviously, it's going to be something new for Coco to do. So that in concert with some of his other good electric types are coming out.
Mm.
And then Cresselia is one that I missed on my tier list. I had to kind of add it in there, but it's getting cosmic power and a lot of other ways to kind of boost.
Oh,
So I think
wow.
we see that more than we have recently. Obviously, it was good in the past. So
Lando-T and the Genies, are they going to be as popular before in the past, or what are your thoughts? And especially Lando-T, I mean, that's really been the one Pokemon that a lot of people are talking about, obviously. So what are your thoughts?
I think it'll still definitely be good. I think they're doing their best to try to nerf it, kind of like you're introducing that new Articuno that has competitive. You can get the hidden ability Genies now, so you'll have Defiant, Thunderous, and maybe even Tornadus. So they're adding into the metagame more abilities that are immune to Intimidate. So trying to lessen its impact a little bit. I think it'll obviously still be good, especially with a Scarf with Coco running around and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Landers, I think, will still be good. If it can get his hidden ability, Landers Eye would be interesting with Sheer Force too. I mean, definitely want to try that if you don't want to have multiple Intimidates on your team. Then the two other ones, like Tornadus, really had a huge comeback in 19 with Kyogre, and Priority Tailwind's going to be important if we don't get the move tutors back, like Tailwind for Zapdos or Crobat, and then we're limited in what we can use. I can see that being good because there's multiple ways to put up rain now too. If you can do it with a max move and still get your Hurricane off, so yeah, I think they're going to be strong. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced on Thunderous yet, just because there's going to be so many good electric types running around. But with Defiant, I almost see that being used more. I think you can get more mileage of that than it can its Prankster with like Thunderwave and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Lando will still be good. It's just so splashable to put on teams.
Yeah, it's typing and it's offensive pressure and its speed, all of it combined, it really does well. I think it was best said by one of my other guests that the defining Pokemon for any metagame is the ground type that is used most commonly. It was their take. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, right now we're doing this Legends battle. I haven't started it yet, but I was looking for a good ground type just because there's so many of these legendaries, like the mythicals on this special tournament that were weak to ground. There isn't a lot of fast ground types available right now. I mean, you have Flygon, I guess, and you Mamoswine, but it's got a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
And Excadrill really is your main one. So I've been running Mudsdale a lot, but then you kind of want Trick Room. So getting some fast ground types back, obviously Landers will be the primarily one used, but even having Garchomp there is kind of cool again. Probably just sit there, but it's kind of nice to see. So it's been a hole in the metagame, I think, not having that available, and getting a special defense boost off of the max ground move is going to be huge too, even if you want to Dynamax Landorus. Yeah, I think they definitely define the meta. I think ground just hits so much, and a fast, strong electric type can really run through your team if you don't have any way to stop it. So
It's true.
Yeah, ground for sure.
Moving on to our next question, the hidden ability patch. How big of a difference does it make to have an item like that in the game right now or upcoming?
Well, they're doing a lot with the games to try to make it easier to build your team with IVs, EVs, and just making it easier to get the Pokemon that you want. And hidden abilities were always kind of that one last barrier, like, oh, I have to breed for this, or you have to have somebody that you can breed it from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to be huge. I'm really excited to use them for Dracovish and that Arctovish.
Yeah.
I mean, Hail probably won't be as good just because it's never that good, but it's kind of be fun to try. But Dracovish in Sand, I think you're going to see that a lot, I feel like. So that's two big ones, I think. And then the legendary dogs getting inner focus. I'm really excited to use Entei with like an Assault Vest, outspeed Landorus. I can burn it, and so it has a little bit good chance there. And if you don't want to run a lot of Intimidate, maybe you don't want to have Incineroar or Arcanine or something. Then the Genies, like we said, being able to run Defiant or Sheer Force on Landorus. I think they'll definitely have their uses. A lot more things we get to play with that we haven't before, and it makes it easier to get things that maybe newer players, because I feel like there's a lot now, people that are trying it out for the first time don't have that backlog of older Pokemon that they have the abilities they can just breed from. So that's just one more barrier down, which is always helpful.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better, honestly. I think, and that isn't a perspective that I've heard from people, having that backlog of Pokemon to be able to pull from for hidden abilities. You know, a lot of us who have been in the game now for at least a few years, we have the ability to pull Pokemon from older games, bring them over, and breed those, right? But players who are just starting out in Sword and Shield, unless they have friends that miraculously play competitively and have hidden abilities, or like have had the time to go and search for hidden abilities, like it ain't easy. And so having this item to be able to bring the access to these, you know, hidden abilities for a lot of Pokemon that sometimes have been hard to get is going to be big. It's going to be big.
And we got to remember, with a lot of these new players, this new ladder might be frustrating right away, because if they don't have a Lele or something that they have ready, they have to catch it in game now. And people that can bring it over are going to be able to build a competitive team right away. So in order to support the community, we want to really have a lot of rental teams kind of available for them, you know, and that's why I made the tier list videos. I don't make a lot of like guides. I feel like there's, when I go on like the VGC Reddit, there's a lot of new players that like are asking what these legendaries do and stuff. So yep, I think that's to build the community. I think rental codes would be huge.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that too. Like the bringing over of legendaries and the Tapus especially. Like players have to go search for these Pokemon now, whereas, you know, you and myself are just able to be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, we're ready day one, right? Like, you know, they can't even start thinking of a team. How am I gonna get a Lele? They're probably thinking. We don't know really. I haven't really looked at how hard these dens are going to be to find. I mean, is it going to be like that ultra wormhole thing?
I know they're trying to make it very cooperative, right? There's even a rumor going around that you're going to be able to voice chat people through the app to like communicate with people when doing these raids, because like these are not going to be easy raids, cool. You know. So we'll see what actually does come out, right? But I think it's really interesting to see how newer players are going to be able to get these legendaries, and like, but how easily they're going to do it. So,
well, we know how the restricted formats can kind of sometimes reduce attendance, because like, where am I going to get a Groudon, right? So or how many times I'm going to try different teams. So we don't want to scare some of these folks away thinking that these are so unattainable. So we got to have the tools there for everybody. So.
Yeah, I agree. And it's I feel like it's partially accessibility for those legendaries, and also a lot of people, they're like, this isn't the Pokemon I know. Legendaries you catch and they're, you know, good for in-game, but a lot of people don't think of VGC as being a place where you battle with legendaries because they're just so powerful and they have the capability to do so much, especially in a doubles format like VGC. Moving on to our last question, and probably, Austin, the most important question, okay? So I just want you to hear me out for this one. Just hear me out, like I've done with all the other people. Picture this. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. You're having a battle. You, perchance, have decided to put a Tapu Bulu, otherwise known as Tapu Swoolu, on your team. And, you know, you gave it a choice band. You gave it Grassy Glide. So you're about to Grassy Glide your opponent's Tapu Koko that doesn't have any bulk except for 4 HP, right? And so your max attack, Adamant Bulu in grassy terrain, so you get the grassy terrain boost. You're also grass type, so you get the grass stab. And on top of that, you got the choice band extra damage. On top of all of that, you also have the priority for being in grassy terrain on Grassy Glide, so you've got to be hitting that Tapu Koko first. I mean, with all of that aside, Austin, answer this question for me. Which Tapu is going to reign supreme in Series 7?
I think Koko has a lot of new tools it can use. People are going to experiment with that, but it takes a little bit of finesse to be good with that because it's so frail. I want to stick by Lele. I think Feeny with that swagger might be like an undiscovered thing now. Especially if we're going to see a lot more Amoonguss, you might want Feeny. You can build around it so well.
Yeah.
I want to say Lele just because there's so many good psychics they're going to be around too. Bulu's problem is going to be so many steel types. I mean, if you have, you're going to see Celesteela, you're going to see Katana. I mean, and Rillaboom also is out there too. So the first, I mean, obviously you're going to get your terrain because you're slower. Maybe it's a Feeny, but they just switched the terrain in, right? I mean, you might lose that priority pretty fast. Then you're playing like a terrain war. So
yeah, true. Very, very true.
I like Rillaboom. I've used it in the past. It's okay. I mean, I just Rillaboom just kind of outclasses it now, I think.
And you know, I say all that not to sway you, okay? Not to sway you whatsoever. I'm just stating the facts. But yeah, it's definitely going to have trouble with Ultra Beasts running around, especially when those Ultra Beasts like Celesteela also get access to fire type coverage. So
Yep.
You know, it's whatever. It's whatever. But Austin, thank you so much for joining me here on this episode of Series 7 Prediction. It has been a pleasure to have you. Any final words for the folks watching today?
No, I mean, definitely check out my channel if you have time. AchusslaVGC. I upload, try to do it at least weekly. I kind of go in spurts depending on my work schedule. I know there's a lot of content out there to see, but just give me a chance to see if you can check my channel out. I'm accessible too if you need help with suggestions on building a team. I throw it into my Discord and we kind of do suggestions back and forth. So it's kind of a little bit of bonus from a smaller YouTuber. You can reach me through a DM on Twitter too. And if you're new, there's definitely guides out there. There's information out there. Ask questions, and you can be one of the best players in the first 6 months. I mean, who knows? So a lot of this can be daunting for anybody who's new. I remember when I was there a couple years ago. So.
It's true. You can go from knowing nothing to being one of the best players amongst the current best players. It's very possible. Folks, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Series 7 Predictions. I'll be back again soon once more with another future guest. But in the meantime, how we doing? I'll see you later.